I'm a language teacher with 20 years of experience and a passion for teaching online. And back in March 2020, I shouldn't have stumbled upon any problems when we were forced to switch to the remote mode of teaching all of a sudden. And I didn't experience any trouble, but it was assessment delivered online that made me perplexed. I felt I needed to learn how to build a reliable, fair online assessment within a suitable difficulty range. And this is what I hope to master on this course.
So the reason why I chose to take additional study in the PGCA was to get a broader understanding about the processes around assessment and assessment design. I work in education and operate a secondary school, and I felt that understanding those mechanisms and the process around it would help inform my own practice, but also that of my staff, particularly around how we measure students, making sure that what we do in the school reflects good practice, and also been lots of conversation around standards, and having a better understanding of what that means has really helped. And what I really wanted to gain really from the end of the course was having a real deep knowledge of what we mean by terms around standards, fairness, validity and reliability. I mean, they're words that we often hear, but sometimes we don't really have a full grasp or understanding of. So for my professional line of work, having clarity in what the true definitions are of those words within an assessment context would really help. Challenging is probably the word I'd use, but rewarding as well at the same time. And I think any professional who is going to embark on additional study, I would hope, has already considered the kind of balance and the need to distribute time across both areas, both work and study, and that they would have resolved that in their own ways in terms of how they're going to manage that time. And for me, conversations with not just my personal life in terms of my family, but also with my colleagues, ensuring that there's dedicated time within my working day where I can devote to my studies has really helped as well.
Usually every Friday morning, the supervisor publishes a new module on the VLE for reviewing and reflecting. And I'm extremely grateful for this schedule because it allows to take advantage of studying at weekends. In practice, what I do, I set aside some time before sleep to read the literature. And I try to time box my learning at weekends so that I do a couple of modules in one go. The most exciting part is following and responding to the comments of my fellow students, and I know that they are real professionals and I learn a lot from them. It's perfect. They have made it student-paced. The lesson format that is being used on Moodle is extremely handy. It's guided yet non-intrusive. All of the articles are available online via information databases, and all the librarians are very, very helpful.
Better than I expected, to be honest. I was very worried actually when the course started and it was going to be remote. I wasn't quite sure how we'd network. I wasn't quite sure how those kind of conversations that you would have, informal ones, with your peers who are undertaking the course would be conducted. But it actually ended up being better than I realised. And both Cambridge Assessment and the University of Cambridge have done an excellent job in creating a kind of virtual platform which kind of allows that kind of, I don't know, conversation, I guess, to emerge in a very kind of open manner. And I've really enjoyed it better than I expected. So the course and the concepts I've already learned has had an instant impact actually in my line of work. I've been able to establish professional development sessions around those themes, such as, for example, conversations around what we mean by standards, talking about measurements and understanding that kind of measuring human ability or potential is an imperfect science, and getting those kind of those principles laid into the foundations of what we do at my school has been highly effective, and particularly around what's going on in terms of the UK context in England with summer exams being cancelled. Going on this course has been fortuitous in the sense that's really helped inform me on how we arrive at really reliable teacher assessment grades and informing staff the processes that they need to do to achieve that. But just in terms of our own school improvement plan as well, we've returned back to looking at what standards means in the classroom, particularly at Key Stage 3, and how I've been able to apply the research and the readings that's been highlighted and identified through the kind of course has really helped shape that dialogue that we have professionally in my school setting, and that's been really useful as well. So it's had instant impact straight away.
I have reflected upon threats to the validity of assessment practices used in my professional context. I'm still in the process of linking the multiple theoretical perspectives in assessment to the reality at work. When everything gets absorbed and understood properly, I'm going to share my findings with the colleagues. In Unit 2A, Assessment Design and Evaluation, I have been able to build multiple choice placement test for a new course, which is being offered by my employer, a Finnish University of Applied Sciences. And I'm going to reflect on that and then discuss the findings with the colleagues. I've been extremely lucky to have had the same supervisor through Units 1 and 2. She's very helpful and extremely friendly. She answers all of my messages almost immediately.
It's not just from your supervisors, you get great support from the kind of community that is formed around those who start the course, so there's great forums to post on, but it's also a fantastic library team at the Faculty of the Education at Cambridge University. I mean, their expertise and knowledge has been really impactful in helping me refine my research, get the kind of details and information I need. The question I'm really interested in is looking at the relationship between how we measure students against a certain set of standards and how that informs the practice to then improve student outcomes, particularly at Key Stage 3, where I think, and when I say this, I think it's national, but also I think a global issue as well, is that there's always this kind of belief that when students start secondary school, in the first 2 or 3 years, there is kind of like a dip sometimes, and the question is what is causing the dip, and how do we address it really? So for me, that's the area of interest, and how do we move forward in that area to ensure that the kind of educational provision on offer carries on building on what the students have learnt back at their primary phase when they move into secondary as well.
Well, I would really like to encourage you to stop hesitating and start acting. The course is well designed, it is being taught by professionals, and it is a boost to your professional development.
I would say that if you have a desire to understand how assessment grades are arrived at, how test designs and kind of in terms of test questions are written to ensure that they are fair, reliable and valid, or you just simply want to know more about how we measure human performance, I think this is the right course for you to undertake. As I said, it's not just for assessment designers or policymakers. It really is for anyone who's interested in how we evaluate effectively.